endlessly searching for an original sin.
So this one I can confirm was suggested by Jay, who has been a big help on the channel. I have a feeling this is gonna work. Okay. Oh, hold on. Where's our boy? I'm gonna have him sitting up here. He's gonna sit right there. Okay. Let me just get the thing. So this will be up to you guys if you want to continue it next stream or not, because these are going to be, I'm doing just stream games right now. Like, I'm picking stuff for the live streams for you guys. 1 second. By the way, thank you for having some patience while I do all this. Let me know if that's hard to read or anything, because I try to make it to where you guys can read that if you need it. Okay, so let me just mess with the volume a bit. Let me know if it's too loud or anything. Alright, so let's go to the main menu. So hi everybody, welcome to the Indie Files. We're doing a live one in front of all of the supporters. We're looking at Sickness, which was a game suggested by Jay, I believe his name is, and I am doing it instead of Miss Lily. Although Sickness is littered with blood with both comedy and romance, illustrates many undesirable scenarios in a lighthearted manner, this game does contain adult themes. Some are limited to specific routes. Themes include blah, 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 blah. That's fine. I'm sorry, what? No incest. We're not... I don't want to be like that Mr. Chris Chan person. Oh, let me make it so you guys can read that better. 1 second. How do I do this? How did Miss Lily say to do this? I guess I can shrink myself. There we go. Is that better, everybody? Now you can all read it. Don't use Ancestry.com for your dating app. Murder, one of the most heinous crimes a person can commit. The act of taking another human being's life. The act of robbing a person from their already limited time on the planet. Hold on, I gotta move this a little bit because the chat is a little bit too big. So it makes it hard. There we go. Now I can read it better. It is a fear-induced crime which anybody can commit. Every housewife, every student, every police officer is a potential killer. It's a crime that doesn't discriminate by blood or circumstance. It is a crime which can be committed by and make victims of just about anyone. Everybody remains both a potential killer and victim, blissfully ignorant of the fact that they could be next, assuming themselves that it could never happen to them. Music's a bit loud. Okay, let me fix that. Sorry. Is that better? I'm gonna put the text speed up a little bit. Let's see if I can actually change the sizing. I cannot. I don't think this was made in RenPy. I wonder what this was made in. And so, as a result of that naivete, those very people never see it coming. You never see it come. Darn Persona 5. Though the scene before me may seem horrific, in this case, as with so many others, there was no great story behind it. Maybe a bit lower? Alrighty. Okay, that should be good. Let me know if it's still too loud. There was no build-up, no resentment between the victim and myself, no mutual hatred that gave us a reason to fight. We didn't spend years at each other's throats, We had never fought before, and neither of us saw this coming. In reality, this is the result of a simple, common scenario, one we've all seen before. He tried to get in front of me in the gaming line. Penny-pinching employer, a bankrupt employee, denied a paycheck. Truly, there was nothing special about this encounter. Of a space alternate ending. My boss didn't taunt me or attempt to exacerbate the situation. He didn't fire me, insult me, or do anything to tempt fate. If anything, I'm the one who made things worse. Rather than try to reason with him, I lashed out, beating the pompous man in front of me to a bloody pulp. Oh, Miko got the hiccups, guys. She's sitting on my foot, giving the hiccups. I knew it wouldn't accomplish anything. I knew attacking him wouldn't get me the money I needed, and yet I needed to punish him? That's right. As self-righteous as it sounds, I couldn't let him get away with what he did. The money that greedy bastard owed me, a pittance to him, was everything to me. It would have fed my sister and I, secured our lease for another month, perhaps even granted us a brief respite from the hell we're currently living. Hold on, I dropped something. It was a shining beacon in our otherwise miserable lives, a way to ensure our survival during such a trying and stressful time. But because of that narcissistic whim, all hope of repairing my broken life vanished. Oh, good God, he became a Redditor. All comments come from chat, not from me. But fuck Reddit. Oh, right, I don't curse. He would deny me shelter, food, comfort, and for what? New seats for his car, a fancy watch, a new TV. I'd like a new TV. Actually, I'd like a new computer. Miss Lily says I can get one soon. And so, staring this injustice in the face, hearing firsthand how little my life meant to him, I snapped. Of course, as fitting as it may seem to reciprocate his indifference to my life by taking his, doing so was never my intention. True, I wanted to kill him. I wanted to make him suffer for belittling my life, for denying me even a moment of peace. But I realized then, as I can clearly see now, that lashing out wouldn't solve anything. So why did I do it? Why would I resort to this? Why would I deliberately choose this no-win situation? If I were to commit a criminal act, why resort to violence rather than theft? If this were truly about my wages, why seek revenge rather than alternative means of compensation? Unfortunately, there's only one answer I can give in which I am confident. You're losing your mind. It isn't the first explanation that came to mind, but it does make sense. A few hours ago, I would have laughed at the cliché of a criminal blaming the voices in their head, but even more so at the notion that a person would act on the silent words of an unseen entity. However, as evident by the corpse at my feet, those words aren't so easy to ignore. As I attempted to survive in this two-class society, willfully believing that I was somehow immune to the corruption and classism plaguing this town, there was always a voice whispering to me, telling me not to believe the good fortune around me. If the voices in your head are telling you that you're losing your mind, should you believe them? That's a good question. As long as there's not a dog talking to you telling you to kill people. Also, if you get that reference, congratulations. A voice filled with skepticism and doubt, preemptively and inevitably telling me to take action before it was too late. Is it actually whispering? No, the voices are losing their minds, not yours. So, theoretically, if the voice in your mind is going insane, are you going insane, or are you sane and the voices are insane? That was my first mistake. I ignored the benevolent advice offered to me, the predictions now shown to be accurate, the good faith I received from someone asking for nothing in return. When it told me to stay in school and live with a guardian, When it told me to seek work elsewhere, when it told me to look for a home somewhere safer, I didn't listen. Every step of the way, I fought against the sound, logical advice it offered. If anything, I made a point of doing the opposite of what the voice told me to do. When it told me to... Okay, why did it do that? That was weird. Or at least... And that was my second mistake. It wasn't that I refused to heed the voice's advice. I simply wasn't interested in taking the safe, responsible route. So, by the time that violence had become the advised course of action, my path had already been determined. You know what? I have to do this. I am so sorry. Give me a moment. It's gonna stick in my head. Give me a minute.
Try to run it through, hold on, think again. Don't you know what you're starting? But you sure we got the clue how that this we go. Don't you know, no more art. And as you look to the horizon, not a cloud, but then stormy winds go too cold. Seems like it great, but out
Yes,
of
it's just
nowhere,
going through the whole
all
freaking thing right
around you is not what you foretold. You never see it coming. You see that my mind is too fast for eyes. You're done, but the time has hit you. You're not surprised.
I'm pretty sure it'll. Also, I will be playing Persona 5 when it gets on PC, for those that have asked me. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist it. It was funny. Hold on. Somebody wants to invite to the stream. Give me 2 seconds. Hopefully that made everyone giggle. Also, see you, Star Shadow. My path had already been determined. Monday evening, September 5th. Less than a half an hour ago, in this very rude room, I committed a serious crime. A very violent crime. The kind of crime of which people go to prison for. Without any hope of ever leaving. Oh, yeah, no, I was inviting my friend to come watch the stream. He's not going to join me in call, he's just going to come watch. I lost control of myself, attacked my boss, and without a doubt ended my short time working in this place. I acted on impulse as I stared in the face of an injustice that threatened to take away my home, allowing myself to do the only thing I could to avoid feeling powerless. But as the adrenaline wore off and the tension cooled, I soon realized my mistake. I saw clearly the fresh corpse at my feet, the stained carpet beneath it, and the bloody hands responsible for everything before me. No, you're fine. We could finish a game. I could see if Mike's around if you guys want to do a game with Mike when we're done. We do need to finish that one game. And so I stared at my own, or we can do it without him, it's up to you guys. And so I stared at my own handiwork, accepted the gravity of the situation before me, and took immediate steps towards regaining control once more. Oh, the art's fantastic. You know, when you called me here, I figured you needed my help with something not strictly legal. But this? So, man, you've outdone yourself. You really do have a bright future ahead of you. Unfortunately, given my dire situation, my options are quite limited. Staring an intimate prison sentence in the face, I called upon Marcus, a coworker of mine. So wait, Marcus is just fine with the dead body. Okay. Contrary to his crappy dye job and lean figure, Marcus is a man of many trades, several of which aren't entirely legal. Since the moment I began working here, Marcus has been open about his criminal dealings, more than once hinting that he could help me, or vice versa. And now that things have come to this, it's time for him to make good on that promise. Oi, oi! Oi, oi, less talking, more lifting. I'm here to help you two out, not take care of everything myself. The second Marcus saw our boss in his current state, he understood the situation. Without asking a single question, he promised to help me out of my predicament, thereafter calling a man whom I've never met before. And surely enough, upon seeing our boss's corpse, the stranger smiled to himself and grabbed Mr. Madhu's leg, dragging his body into the doorway before requesting assistance. Don't be like that. Surely a big, strong man like you can lift a weedy piece of shit by yourself. Yeah, night lessons. If you guys want to finish night lessons tonight, we can. Or today. Sorry, I'm used to streaming at night. Nobody likes the boss is what I'm hearing. And get this poor sap's blood all over me in the process. Either give me a hand or do this yourself. Marcus and his acquaintance carried my boss's corpse into the stranger's van, which was parked just outside of Madhu's office. Thanks to the proximity of my boss's office, nobody heard our scuffle over the machinery used within the warehouse, and Marcus' acquaintance was able to block visibility and access to the office with his van. Yeah, no, boss is dead. Even so, despite knowing how fortunate my situations were, I couldn't help but feel anxious. Whether these two successfully cover up Madhu's death or not, there's no way this can end well. No, those are co-workers. All it would take is one witness, or a slip of the tongue, and I could wind up in prison. And even if I do get away with this, what then? Will I be indebted to Marcus forever? Will he ask for something extreme in return for his silence? No matter what scenario I envision, it doesn't bode well for me. You! That bastard was heavier than he looked. Or wrong voice. Whew, that bastard was heavier than he looks. Tell me about it. I thought my corpse handling days were long over. His corpse handling days? This guy sounds like the right person for the job, but just who is he? Anyway, I'll handle the disposal. You two clean up here, alright? You're the boss, Andre. Just leave the rest to us. Alright, that'll give us some time to talk about repayment. And there it is. It's not unreasonable for Marcus to expect something in return. I called him knowing full well that I'd need to repay the favor. Even so, just thinking about how he'd expect me to repay something like this. Oh, I'm a dude. Okay. What do you have in mind exactly? Oh, nothing big. At least not for someone like you. But really, before we get into that, I gotta tell you. I picked you as a fighter from the moment we met. But to actually kill somebody? I seriously underestimated you. Marcus makes it sound like I planned on killing Madhu from the start. But I'm not a killer. Even if I've been in my fair share of fights, I never tried to kill someone before. There's a first time for everything. With that in mind, I have the perfect job for you. I'm sure he does. But given the events leading up to this moment, I have to ask. Is it a legal job? Dude, you just killed someone. Shut the fuck up. You don't get to question this. Sure, why not? As long as you don't get caught, of course. Figures. Hey, look, everything's legal until you get caught. Oh, cheer up. I'm just messing with you. I've got the perfect job in mind for you. You'll be able to rake in the money, feed that aggression of yours, and pay off your debt almost immediately. Interested? Hang on, you're offering to pay me while I repay you? Of course. Considering the reason why we're here, I thought it would be better not to get between you and your money. I like Marcus. Whatever the case, what kind of job are we talking about? I brought you here to get me out of trouble. There won't be any point if you drag me in deeper. It does sound like underground fighting. You really don't have any faith in me, do you? Well, so be it. Just keep in mind that you're worth more to me alive than, well, in prison. That is a fair point. Not that you have any choice anyway. You my bitch. If you want all this kept secret, then you're gonna do exactly what I'll say. Remember, folks, if you kill someone, make sure that the person that helps you hide the body, that you already owed them a favor. No, wait, vice versa, that they owed you a favor. Richmond, a town riddled with crime and corruption. Richmond is a vast town, a collection of smaller districts. Each... Is this the Nightmare on Elm Street music? Sounds a little bit like it. Richmond is a vast town, a collection of smaller districts, each varying significantly in terms of wealth, ethnicity, and population density. Large enough to entrap millions of everyday citizens, yet dense enough to suffocate anyone who dares reside within. It's a complicated town, misunderstood even by those living within the walls. Richmond, Virginia. You know, I made a Chris Chan joke earlier. Are we gonna see Chris Chan? Isn't he in Virginia? Isn't that disgusting dude Ethan Ralph in Virginia too? What? Why does it want me to save? Okay. So this button does random things. That's weird. But beyond the size and the scope of this town, there is no aspect which stands out above all others. Its concentration of wealth. This is a town wherein the wealthy flock together, create their own small utopia. They build up selected parts of the city, sculpt the law to their liking, and generally get away with whatever their bank balance will allow. The end result has been the creation of a stateside town comprised of countless districts, varying from wealthy suburbs filled with hospitals, schools, to those lacking even phone lines. Are we sure we're not in Disney? Put it simply, this is a two-class society, heavily favoring the rich. As someone living in a wealthy suburb while walking among the poor, I'm fairly familiar with both sides of the city. Thanks to those who cling to every cent, labor can be commissioned for next to nothing, making Richmond a surprisingly cheap place to live. Public transport is constant, resources are plentiful, infrastructure is abundant, and the town keeps growing. Hold on, it sounds like it's getting louder. Turn it down just a little. For those with money to support themselves, this isn't a bad place to live. On the other hand, with so much competition for work, most residents have no choice but to accept whatever work they can and to slave away for as little as necessary. Slave wages are standard practice, workplace safety laws don't apply, and it's every man for himself. For anyone without a white-collar job, this town is hell. And within the mere 2 weeks left on our lease, it won't be long before my sister and I experience that hell for ourselves. Yeah, it keeps getting louder and louder. I don't know what's going on with the music. Of course, looking back at our lives until this point, I can't really complain. Before our parents passed away, Sarah and I lived sheltered, easy lives, never worrying for a second about housework or finances. We lived good lives in a safe neighborhood. We attended an adequate school, ate healthily, and were never far from medical help. So now, even with all that being stripped away, we're still better off than most of others in our situation. I don't know if it's that or they just didn't do the music right for this game, because I've seen that with a couple visual novels. It's similar to the issue that you see occasionally with RPG Maker games. Well, if it's anything like editing, like sometimes people say when a video is done that the music drowns me out, but when I'm editing it, the music isn't that loud. So it's one of those, it might be similar to when you edit a video where to you and to what you're using to listen, it sounds fine. But when it comes out in the video or in the game, it sounds completely different. Like it sounds too loud and stuff. Or at least we could be, if I hadn't just single-handedly destroyed our new lives. No matter what excuse I give, whether I blame my boss's penny pinching, the foreign anger I felt surging through my body, or merely my desperate need for cash, it doesn't change the fact that I killed a man. even so, I don't feel guilty. I barely even regret the loss of life. If anything, it was the most fun I've had in months, a single moment of pure bliss taking away from the harsh reality of my new life. I don't like using headphones, so that's usually why it happens. Rather, what's eating away at me now is the intimate aftermath. Thanks to my selfish act of revenge and self-indulgence, I now have to explain to my only family why, after a mere 2 weeks in this house, we'll be forced to move again. Your lease was only for 2 weeks? Wow! Without a stable source of income, we won't be able to live here much longer, and I refuse to allow my sister to be subjected to the discrimination and crime which makes this city so unlivable for the poor. But, with my only chance at recovery resting in the hands of a friend who essentially blackmailed me into meeting him tonight, I have no illusions over how this will go. So, if my choices are to give Sarah fair warning before our lease expires, or to place my faith in the criminal who I've known for merely 2 weeks, then... well, can I even call that a choice? Well, I guess we'll find out what choice you make next time.